Is Ben Shapiro smart? Yes. He skipped 2 grades. He has a law degree from Harvard. So he's smart enough to know what logical fallacies are and how to avoid using them. But he doesn't. He uses them all the time. Why? To promote ideas of white supremacy. One that he uses a lot is a straw man argument. That means that you misstate your opponent's argument and then you attack that version you've created. For example, if you said to me, wow, it's really hot outside today, and I said, oh, you think every day is hot? Well, yesterday it was cold, so you're an idiot. That would be a straw man argument. Ben often uses these arguments to dismiss overwhelming evidence of systemic racism. In one video, he says this.
Pass on to their kids and grandkids.
The basic assumption of this video is that if your grandparents are rich in the United States, this means that you are rich.
Of course, no one's arguing that if you're poor, it's impossible to become rich. We're saying that I'm more likely to be in a better position if my grandparents could build wealth and yours couldn't. Ben knows that, but he continues to use the fallacy. Because he knows that if you dismiss all of these things, the only explanation for disparities like this is white supremacy, that white people are somehow smarter or better. Ben Shapiro knows that, he's appealing to that belief, and if you listen to him, you can do better.
I think I've officially given up on people. I fucking hate everybody. And, like, I'm gonna just do a daily scream a la Spence Swab because this is what's warranted right now. So the first video that I saw on my For You page when I woke up this morning was a video that a man had taken of a sleeping naked girl, obviously without her consent because she was sleeping, and then decided to post it to the internet. And if that wasn't enough, the comment section of the video focused on berating and shaming the girl's body instead of talking about how illegal this is to do and how shitty the man is for doing this. I'm fucking tired of it. And then when there were a few people who brought up that point that, hey, this is fucking illegal and a disgusting thing to post in the first place, people were stepping in and defending the man. And maybe this hits home with me a little bit more because some fucker tried to do that to me once too. But for the love of fucking God, stop defending shitty men. But for the love of fucking God, stop defending shitty men!
What she is specifically referring to is a situation where a man was filming a woman while she was trying to sleep, and then people were shitting on the woman for basically existing while the man was filming her without her consent. What she is talking about is so infuriating, and I don't understand where is the outrage around these men. You're degrading a woman in her sleep. Not only was that extremely provocative and illegal for him to do, but nobody wants to call out the man for actually doing something wrong. Why do we as a society decide to demonize women for just existing? You're gonna make provocative comments about her? You're going to defend the men's ridiculous actions? And then the defense of these men is under the guise of entertainment. What is so entertaining about degrading women? What is so entertaining about perpetuating misogyny? What is so entertaining about making a woman literally terrified to sleep? These are the conversations that we need to have, and we need to stop defending trash men.
Men are trash, but you knew that already. But did you know the dirty little secret that men know that men are trash? Every movie or TV show you've ever seen, what does the man always say about his daughter? I know how you young boys think. I'm not going to let you do that to my daughter. And why do they say that? Because I remember what I was like at 15. Isn't it fascinating that men can recognize that men are manipulative and they can harass and assault? They can lie, cheat, and steal. They can do all manner of evil things against women when it's their daughter or their sister, but don't have that same energy about themselves. It's important to recognize that not only should men recognize that we are collectively trash, but we should do the work to change that. I'm intentionally certain ways around women, not on some Mike Pence type things, but because I understand that men have created unsafe environments for women, and so it's my responsibility to be responsive to the lack of safety that other men have created. And also own the fact that I have done and said and thought things that were not good toward women, holding all men accountable, including myself.
Here's why not all men is trending. On March 3rd, Sarah Evergard was walking home to her house in London when she was abducted and later found dead. When the people found out about this, the police sent out a statement warning all women to not go out past dark. The problem with this is women aren't the issue, men are. So why punish women for problems men have created? Jenny Jones, a member of the House, realized this and proposed a bill that would set a curfew for men so they couldn't go out past 6. What men retaliated with was not all men. Completely missing the point she was trying to make, which was you don't have to change women to fit the needs of men. Don't change women, educate men. And the thing is, you're right, it's not all men. But do you objectify women? It's not all men, but have you ever begged someone for nudes? It's not all men, but do you assume someone is lying when they told you they've been essayed? It's not all men, but it's probably you.
You should take your school information out of your Instagram bios. I work in the anti-trafficking field, and we had a case where a trafficker would go on Instagram and look through high schoolers' pages and see in their bio what high school they went to, usually their graduation year, and he would then go on Google and search up the high school and find an older teacher who worked there. He would then reach out to these students and say, hey, I saw you went to so-and-so high school. Did you have Mr. Smith as a teacher? I had him 5-10 years ago. Wasn't he such a bore? Like, I can't believe he's still working there. Like, tell me how it is now. And this is how he would start the relationship with them. This is how he would start the grooming process, because these students instantly thought, oh, he's an alumni of my school. We have that in common. And the trafficker would start the grooming process, and one thing led to another, and these students ended up being victims of trafficking. So it's really important that we're careful with what we put on our bios, the information we put out there, because traffickers could be used.
Translating Sexist Red Flags for You, Part 1. I'll make you feel like a real woman. I'm gonna give you mediocre sex where I don't listen to your needs at all, because my entire sense of being a real man depends on physically controlling you. My ex was crazy, like psycho. I have no sense of accountability, and I find any reasonable amount of anger in a woman to actually be pathological and disordered, despite the fact that I get inexplicably furious when there are consequences to my actions. You know, you're not like other girls. I don't respect every other girl I've met or ever thought about, and I think they're fundamentally inferior. I'm not sexist. I have sisters. I have no sense of imaginative empathy, and I can't care about problems or beings unless I'm directly impacted somehow. It's just not attractive when girls swear. The primary purpose girls serve in my worldview is being attractive. Translating Sexist Red Flags for You, Part 2. Oh, come on, that's just locker room talk. I'm very comfortable encouraging the perpetuation of dangerous gender norms when you're not around, and you should be scared that I've showed your nudes to pretty much everybody in my life. So cute when you're mad. I trivialize your feelings and will never take them seriously. You're just not who I fell in love with. I want the old you back. I can't be bothered to love you as a whole person, flaws and all. I only like honeymoon obsession, and any kind of long-term partnership with struggles is too hard for me. This isn't the real you. I am more interested in shaping you into who I wish you were and weaponizing your potential against you instead of getting to know who you really are. And you will always feel inauthentic and not good enough around me. Translating Sexist Red Flags for You, Part 3. Women and men can't be friends. I don't see women as three-dimensional beings who have anything to offer but sex. It's just a joke. I think oppression and hurting people's feelings is a hilarious punchline, and I hate being held accountable for my actions. It's so scary that you could just be like falsely accused of rape and have your whole life ruined. I care more about hypothetical potential damage to my reputation than I do about the real commonplace violence happening all around me. Okay, not all men. I care more about policing how you present your argument than I do about real commonplace violence happening all around me. Dude, I don't want a daughter. I have either disrespected enough women in my life to be scared for what my daughter would have to endure, or I so vehemently subscribe to gender roles that I sincerely believe a daughter of mine would not be able to play catch in a park with me.
What are some things you've noticed that are blatantly sexist but are so normalized?
Alright, so I am making this a series, officially. Let's talk about the fact that it's so normalized to ask women, hey, when are you expecting to have kids? Like, would you ask me that if I was a man? The answer is no, you wouldn't. Did you know that when corporations hire women, they usually anticipate that they're going to take a maternity leave, and this is considered a due cost for them? And this is actually something that people use to justify the pay gap, because they're like, well, I'm not taking a maternity leave. The question to people who say that is, well, why aren't you? I was under the impression that the baby is the responsibility of both partners and not just the woman. In fact, interestingly enough, the baby usually gets the man's last name, so why aren't you here taking care of it when it's born? Why is taking a paternity leave not normalized within society? It should be normal for men to take care of their own kids.
This is just a friendly reminder that the word slut is used to shame women for our right to say yes. Friend zone is used to shame us for our right to say no.
Men fear ridicule the way women fear violence. Okay, I know a tempting way to interpret that is, wow, poor you, poor baby, you're scared of being made fun of? Well, I have bigger fucking fish to fry because I'm worried about getting murdered. However, I think it's really important to talk about why the two fears here are deeply interconnected. I listened to a podcast covering Jessica Simpson's memoir Open Book, and they were talking about a relationship she had with a football player where he wouldn't let her be in movies where she would kiss someone. So basically wouldn't let her be in movies. Not because he was jealous or didn't trust her, but because he was scared men would make fun of him, scared his teammates would call him a cuck. So it is this fear of ridicule that often drives men's need to control other women. And not in this case, but in many cases, that deep shame, that deep fear of not being man enough often translates to violence towards women and perpetuation of that ridicule toward other men. So men, stop calling each other gay, stop calling each other pussy, stop telling your sons to man up and be a man and not to cry, stop calling your friends simps just for being nice to women, stop abusing each other to a degree of such deep-seated shame that the only way you find self-worth is by controlling women. This person is responding to a video in which I said that a lot of times the violence that men perpetrate against women, and frankly anybody of any gender, is telegraphed by the bullying that they experience in toxically masculine circles, right? Where they feel like they are not functionally sufficiently performing their gender unless they are physically controlling someone else. And so I talked about the harmful effects of bullying and shame when it comes to gendered violence. And I talk about this because I'm so tired of people only telling women how to change, only telling women how to empower themselves, instead of also shining a light on problematic male behavior. The patriarchy hurts women more than it hurts men, beyond a shadow of a doubt, but it also hurts men. So me holding men accountable for the hurtful actions that they perpetrate against each other is not me also somehow invalidating the social pressures imposed on women. These are men's issues and they need to be framed as such. Hold men accountable. Tell me you're a righteous, sexist, self-obsessed piece of shit who trivializes women's emotions without actually telling me you're a righteous, sexist, self-obsessed piece of shit who trivializes women's emotions. My biggest fear is that I'm just gonna wake up one day falsely accused of rape. The only thing weirder than that being your biggest fear is saying it out loud, because that publicizes to the world that you are so sexist you are willing to completely ignore facts about very real, often fatal gendered violence. Not only are women more likely to be raped than you are to be falsely accused of rape, but you, as a man, are more likely to be raped than you are to be falsely accused of rape. And want to know the only thing as unlikely as being falsely accused of rape? Real rapists getting convicted of rape. So relax, even those accused typically turn out fine. In conclusion, caring more about the hypothetical potential damage to your reputation than you do about the very real, very commonplace violence happening all around you is a bad fucking look, and it's morally repugnant. I'm so freaking tired of the tone policing that I am seeing all the time. If you want to actually be an ally to a movement, you have to listen. You have to. And you have to listen even if people are speaking in a tone that you don't find perfectly pleasant and upbeat. Because guess what? Your discomfort while listening to them talk about the oppression they're experiencing is not greater than the discomfort they are experiencing while being oppressed. And your discomfort at the fact that you have played either an active or passive role, both of which are fucking harmful, in the perpetuation of oppression should not mean they have to waste their cognitive resources making their message more palatable to you. You should be fucking heartbroken when people tell you the ways in which you have let them down. And you should be doing everything you can to change and to do better. Not fucking telling them to speak to
I think Jesus is low-key like a male manipulator for dying for our sins. Like, I never asked him to do that. Like, why is that my fault? Like, why do I have to carry the burden now? That's on you, Jesus.
This is why I literally hate being a fucking woman. I come into King Soopers to get myself some sushi, and this random guy comes up to me and tries saying, oh, me and my friends are doing like a dare day, and my dare was to slap a random stranger's ass. So I wanted to come up to you. I'm not by anybody, so I took my fucking mask off and ask, can I slap your ass? And I literally said, no, I will punch you in the face, and I have a fucking taser in my purse. The best part was, like, I don't think he thought I was serious about having a taser. Like, Like I won't fucking shove this up your gooch and fucking electrocute your balls till you throw up? You're welcome.
I get a lot of comments like this one saying that the Mormon church isn't hurting anyone, so I should stop talking negatively about it. As someone who was raised in the church, I would like to bring up a few points. This is Alexander B. Morrison, a Mormon apostle and leader. He said in a 2000 address, "Avoid as the plague social interactions with individuals who justify, encourage, or engage in homosexual behavior." This is another Mormon leader, Prophet George Albert Smith. He wrote in a letter that it's the doctrine of the church, never questioned by any of the leaders, that the Negroes are not entitled to the full blessings of the gospel. This is another Mormon prophet, Harold B. Lee. He wrote in his book that people with disabilities are that way because they were less valiant in the premortal life. Mormon apostle Mark E. Peterson. When speaking of the women of the church, he said, "No woman is as lovely as when she was properly and fully clothed. What woman can suppose that ugly knees and bony shoulder blades can add luster to her charm?" You don't believe that the church hurts anyone? I think it's more like who haven't they hurt?
You need to call 911. I've just been stabbed. What? What'd you do? What do you mean, what did I do? Someone just came up to me and stabbed me. Okay, and you're sure you were stabbed? Well, someone put a knife in me and now there's blood gushing out of a hole in my stomach, so I think it's pretty safe to say that, yeah, I've been stabbed. Are you on your period? What? I don't know, I'm just saying, maybe the hormones make you overreact. Just call 911. I have to get to the hospital. I don't know, I mean, this guy's life could be ruined if this gets out, so maybe well, maybe this will teach you to pay more attention to your surroundings next time, hey? Oh my gosh, is she okay? Did you call an ambulance already? Are they on the way? Should I call 911? Oh, no, she's fine. She's just doing it for attention. Probably. They do that.
So another creator posted a video about the alarming number of young women, 18 to 19-year-olds, that Scott Disick, or however you say his last name, has a preference of dating. It seems he highly favors women who are freshly of age. Now, I simply commented, it's the fact that I, as a 22-year-old, wouldn't even date an 18 or 19-year-old. I don't care, they're still kids to me. Now, I had an alarming number of responses by very infuriated adult men who were angry by me stating that 18 to 19-year-old kids are kids as I view them. Now, I say this for multiple reasons. The first reason being that I used to be a full-time substitute teacher at a high school, which means I was working with children, yes, children ages 14 to 18. They are still children. And number two, when I was 17, I was in an online relationship with a 25-year-old man who groomed and manipulated me into sending sexually explicit photos and videos to him over a period of several months because he had me under the impression that I was so mature for my age, and the age of consent in my state is 17. Age of consent and age of adulthood are complete arbitrary numbers. It's not like the night you turn 17 or 18, you suddenly become an adult emotionally and mentally. You still have years to develop.
Have you ever felt really uncomfortable around a stranger and you couldn't quite put your finger on why? Chances are your subconscious was trying to warn you that the person making you uncomfortable might be a predator. So let's go over some of the signs of predators. Number 1, loan sharking. Loan sharking is a manipulation tactic that predators use to try to make you feel like you owe them something. They might offer to carry your groceries to your car or offer to pick up the tab at a restaurant. If you tell them no and they keep insisting on doing it anyway, run. Number 2, forced teaming. Forced teaming is a manipulation tactic that predators use to try to establish a sense of familiarity with an intended target that they don't really deserve to have. So in this manipulation tactic, the predator is going to use pronouns like we, our, and us to try to create a bond with their intended target. They might say something like, "We've got to get you to your car before it's dark." You asked for it, so here we go. Part 2, signs of a predator. Typecasting. Typecasting is a really common manipulation tactic that predators use, often after a failed attempt at loan sharking. So when someone is trying to typecast an intended target, what they're going to do is try to attach some kind of a trait or a stereotype to someone to kind of put them on guard and get them to do something to prove the manipulator or predator wrong. So a perfect example of typecasting is if you're at a bar and someone's offered to buy you a drink, loan sharking, and you're not interested and they keep trying to talk to you, they might finally say something like, "Wow, I guess you're just not intelligent enough to handle conversation with me." And what they're trying to do is get you to get on the defensive and want to prove them wrong by talking to them and proving that, yeah, you are intelligent. Don't fall for it. Signs of a predator, part 3. Today we're going to be talking about the unsolicited promise. An unsolicited promise is when a stranger makes you a promise that you did not ask them to make, usually for nothing in return. Why would they do this? They want to break down your resolve. Whatever it is that you're apprehensive about, whatever it is that makes you nervous or a little concerned about this person, they sense it and they want you to start ignoring your gut feeling immediately. And that's why they're offering you a promise. Further, whatever the thing is that they're promising not to do is probably the exact thing that's on their mind. It doesn't mean that they're gonna do it, but it means they've thought about it enough to make a promise not to do it. It's a red flag for me. Don't do it. Just don't.
You are probably being abused or subjected to abuse right now, and I can prove it. You're an abuse survivor, you've been through stuff like this, click that plus sign, I got more. It's interesting because in society, there are certain forms of abuse that we weigh that are okay and some that aren't. So for instance, you're gonna hear if a boyfriend is being abusive or gaslighting or a narcissist or a friend is using you, you will hear all the people around you say, ditch them, dump them, you don't need them. There is one area where people will constantly, consistently fight to keep your abusers. You ready for who it is? Your family. That's right. When your family is abusive to you, everybody around you is going to tell you to stick it out with them. You constantly hear these tropes, oh, but it's your mom, oh, but it's your dad, it's your blood, it's your family. That doesn't matter. Abuse is abuse. Protect your mental health regardless of what society deems is okay and not okay. Sound off in the comments if you've been through this.
Something that is totally normal, but seems completely unacceptable.
Well, something normalized, but actually unacceptable is fatphobia in shows. And it's everywhere. Like, I watched New Girl, for example, and Schmidt, one of the main characters, used to be overweight. And anytime overweight Schmidt makes an appearance, they completely change his personality and they make him seem so much less competent. And it's supposed to be hilarious. And they do the same to Monica Geller in Friends. Look, I watch Friends, don't come at me. And her character it's the exact same, so much less competent when they have the younger, formerly overweight version of Monica make an appearance. And it persists across decades. It's so pervasive. That's what drives me crazy. Nothing's changed. Parks and Rec, Pawnee, the whole joke is that they're obese. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Scully and whoever the hell, like the punchline is that they like eating food. It's not good.